So what's happening is in order to record the meeting, we have to, I guess Google will ask consent to have the meeting recorded. So some people may be removed if they don't allow that consent. So that's what it was waiting on, I think, was just for all the participants to say that they consent to being recorded.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. All right. So like I mentioned, this video is being recorded, and we will provide closed captioning. All right. So today you are joined by two of our coaches, myself, Renee Martinez. I'm the director of the advising services, and Tessa Weisenborn, early college success coach, will be your facilitator. And we are here today to discuss Moodle and email and WebAdvisor and your schedules. So first, let me welcome you to Nash Community College. Unfortunately, most of your classes will be this semester, continue to be either online or virtual, but that's our beautiful campus for when you are able to return to campus. For those of you who have classes on campus, we look forward to seeing you. So our agenda today, as I said earlier, is we're going to discuss your username and password. All these things are going to help set you up to be successful during your semester here at Nash. We will discuss student email, as well as Moodle, which is our learning management system. And we will also do a little bit of investigating of WebAdvisor, and then we will have a chance for you to ask us questions at the end. Make sure you mute yourself, please. All right. Next. So the first thing we need to do is, if you are a brand new student at Nash Community College, you will need to set up your password. Your username is automatically generated by our system. So your username is your first initial, your first initial, your middle initial, your last name, and the last 3 digits of your student ID number. So for example, I hope that no one on this call's name's Tyrone B. Smith, but if you are, I'm using you as an example. Tyrone's username would be tbsmith345. And this username is for all of our systems, for your email, for WebAdvisor, for Moodle. It makes it very easy, so you don't have to remember more than one username. Your password is you will have to set yourself. And so if you look up at the top of your screen, you will see circled in green, password reset. And to reset your password, or to set your password, you will need your student ID number and your birth date. And that is to set it for the first time or to reset it if you, our passwords expire about every 90 days. If you don't know what your student ID number is, then you can contact us at the college and we'll be happy to give it to you. We cannot give it to you through a personal email address. So if you email us from like a regular Gmail account, please provide a phone number and somebody will call you back. And the best person or the best department to call about your student ID number is our admissions department. And their email address is admissions@nashcc.edu. All right, next.
And just really quickly, I'm going to put that email address in the chat for you as well, so you can copy that and either save it as a contact. But if you're signed into your student email, it might be difficult if you don't have your password. But if you want to save that as a contact in your personal email, just in case, you can. But once you are logged in and getting access to your student email, that address should populate automatically.
Thank you. All right, so all Nash Community College students are given a student email account. It is a Google email address, so you, along with your student email account, you do get the wide variety of the Google suite. So you have Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Spreadsheets, Google Presentation, which is what we are using now for this presentation. All of these are free for you, so you don't necessarily have to go out and buy Microsoft Office unless you already own it. And the great thing about all of the Google products is it automatically saves it. So if you're working on an assignment and your computer crashes, whatever you were working up on to the point that that happens has saved in the cloud, and you can easily retrieve it. So to access your email, you will need to go to www.nashcc.edu, and you click on Student Portal, which is this little triangle down there. And then you will click on Email, and you will be able to enter in your email address. Your email address is that first initial, middle initial, last name, and last 3 digits of your student ID number at st.nashcc.edu. And that will help you to, or that's your email address for Nash Community College.
Okay, and I just wanted to chime in too on one of the features of the Google Suite. So if you don't have access to Microsoft Office, but let's say you're taking an English class and your instructor requires you to upload a Word doc as an example, but you don't have Word on your computer at home, you can at least start it in Google Docs, finish the assignment there. And then if you can come to a computer on campus, you could download that document in the format that the instructor is asking for. Or you might be able to download it as a Word doc on your computer and then upload it from there as the doc, even though you don't have Word to open it. You might at least be able to download it and save it as that file type. So if your instructor is asking for a Microsoft version like an Excel spreadsheet or a PowerPoint, but you don't have those applications at home, you can at least start them in the Google version, right? Google Slides is like PowerPoint, and at least start the work there and then download it and convert it as the file type your instructor asks for.
That's a great point. Thank you. All right, so when communicating with anyone at Nash Community College, we are requesting that you use your student email account. This allows for faculty and staff members to verify our records to make sure we are communicating with the correct student. And as many, hopefully you've never experienced yourself, but if you listen in the news, the amount of spam and hackers and security breaches that are out there, this is how we make sure we're communicating with the right person. How often should you check your student email account? You should really check your student email account daily, especially the first month of school. Instructors send out important messages. You will get important messages from the college. You will find out ways to be involved in clubs. So it's very important that you check your email so that you have the most up-to-date information. I don't know if you've been watching the weather, but I did see snow flurries in the forecast for Friday. Now, I don't think it's going to stick, so don't get too excited. You might just see some sprinkles. But also in your email is how we would communicate any inclement weather reports. And so it's very important for you to check your email. And when you're communicating with us, communicate through your student email account so that we can access your information and make sure that we are providing the correct person with the correct information. If you have a hard time setting up your email account, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We will be happy to help you figure all that out. But usually once you get your password set, as mentioned in the previous slides, it's pretty easy from that point forward. Okay. So email, again, check it regularly because it's very important that you use it. We are, as I mentioned earlier, most of your classes are going to be either virtual or online. We have brought a few classes back to campus in a smaller, safe environment. If your class is an on-campus class, please remember to wear a face mask because they will be required in all classrooms, and to practice appropriate social distancing while you're on campus. For those of you who are taking classes in the virtual or online format, you will find those classes in our curriculum Moodle section. Again, the student portal houses all this information, so it's great. And the curriculum Moodle classes don't only house the virtual and online, but also most of our classes are web enhanced. So even if you are on campus, you will find your class in Moodle. You can check your grades, your syllabus, things of that nature. All right. So how do you log into Moodle? That's a question that a lot of students ask us. It's the same username and password that you use for your email. So it would be that first initial, middle initial, last name, last 3 digits of the of your student ID number, and then your password. And so that's what the login screen looks like, so that you know you're in the right place. One thing that I will caution you is that if you go onto Moodle right now, you will not see any classes in there, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I'm not registered for classes. Where do they all go? I've already paid my money. Where are they? Our classes do not appear until the first day of class. So I have listed for you on this slide days to pay attention to. All of your classes will populate in Moodle, but they don't populate until the first day of class. So most of our classes begin January 11th. So you should see most of your classes pop up on January 11th. We do have some classes that are a 2-week late start class or a 14-week class. Those classes will begin either on January 25th or 26th. So if you don't see a class, go into WebAdvisor, which we'll show you how to do in a little while, and you can look at your schedule to see the start date. And you're like, oh, it's the 25th. That's when it'll show up in Moodle. If you're taking a DMA class, and you should be signed up for 4 DMAs. So if you start out in DMA 10, which is developmental math, that class would begin on January 11th. But DMA 20 would not begin until February 10th. So that's why I put that February 10th date there. So the DMA 20 is not going to show up in your Moodle courses until the 10th. If you're taking DREs or DMA in the 3rd quarter, that's not going to show up until around March 10th. So I just wanted to let y'all know that if you don't see all of your courses immediately on the first day of class, don't necessarily freak out that you aren't signed up for them. Go into WebAdvisor, which we'll show you how to do in a minute, and check the start dates. And as long as the start date is after the 11th, then you should be fine. If a class is not populating and it begins on the 11th, that's when you need to reach out to the instructor and find out what's going on. It could be that for some reason the class just wasn't turned on by accident. But you should log into Moodle on the first day of classes. It is very important for you to begin your semester off on the right foot. So log in on January 11th, look at your classes, see what's required so you can create a plan to be successful. Next. All right, so when you log into Moodle, this is what you will see. If you are a first semester student and this is your first semester at Nash Community College, you need to go through and complete the orientation. You can go ahead and do that now by clicking this continue when you log in. You will not see any classes listed. This is my view of the courses, but I just wanted to show you what they would look like. So instead of saying 2020 SP, it would say 2021 SP and then whatever the course is. And then you would just click on these links and it will take you to your course material that your instructor has uploaded for you. If you are a returning student and you've already done the student orientation and you're taking online classes, you don't have to do the student orientation again. You can go back and find that certificate that you received in the fall and upload that into your course. So you do not have to repeat the orientation session. So that's a good thing, right? All right, next. So once your classes are available, you'll be able to see your syllabus and your tentative schedule. And we strongly recommend that you take that tentative schedule and you write down all your due dates. Now, granted, your due dates may change. That's why it's called a tentative schedule. But your instructor will let you know well in advance if a due date changes. Usually due dates might be pushed back a little bit if, let's say, we do have snow and ice and everyone's power goes out for a while. So instructors will keep you up to date, which is, again, very important for why you need to check your email daily, just for any announcements or updates. And for online classes, it's very important you keep up with those due dates. Our Nash Community College is an attendance taking institution. And so for online classes, the way your attendance is taken is by your submission of assignments. If you don't submit assignments for 2 consecutive weeks in an online class, your instructor has to administratively withdraw you. These are federal guidelines presented to us that the instructors must follow. So if you cannot make an assignment by the due date, please reach out to your instructor and let them know, so that you and your instructor can work out a plan to make sure that you stay in good attendance graces, so to speak, so that you don't fall into that place where we have to withdraw you. If you're taking a virtual course, and what a virtual course means is that you are signed up for a class on a particular day and time, and you will log in through either Zoom, Google Meet, which is what we're using today, or Blackboard Collaborate, and you will talk with your instructor and classmates in real time. It simulates the on-campus class so that you can get the feeling and interaction with other students versus strictly online. Whatever mode your instructor uses for your virtual sessions, he or she will put a link in your Moodle course. So that's another reason to check the very first day to make sure the link is there and that you know exactly what to do so that you're counted present the first day of class. This isn't in our presentation, but I'm just gonna stop here for a second, and because I've said a couple times, the first day of class really matters. Showing up and attending class on the first day sets yourself up for success for the semester. Whether that is logging into your online classes on January 11th and beginning to work on your classes, or logging into that virtual class at Monday, January 11th at 9:30 for your class, or showing up to the science class that's being offered on campus on time. Being present that first day really, really helps to set yourself up for success, and that's what we want for you. Check your Moodle courses daily, just like your email, to see if your instructor has made any updates to the assignments or adjustments to the schedule, added more resources for you. So a lot of times instructors will see that students may be struggling with a concept, and they will upload some tutorials or resources in addition to what's already there. Take advantage of those because they're only there to help you, and you'll know that if you've logged into Moodle. You will, you'll get into a rhythm of your schedule of when you're logging on and doing your classwork and things of that nature. And so beginning off on the right foot is a great way to do that. Logging into Moodle will also, especially if you're taking online courses, help to ensure you don't miss any due dates because there'll be reminders there that something is due. So it's very important to make sure you stay active in your classes regardless of how they are being presented to you, whether you're on campus or virtual or online. Next.
I just wanted to piggyback really quickly too, because in talking about attendance on the first day of class, when you log into online Moodle courses, a lot of courses will feature the enrollment verification assignment, correct? Yes. And so you want to make sure you complete that first. And generally, and that's a really good way to get yourself kind of in the habit and getting comfortable, because generally the enrollment verification assignment is just a few questions anyway, and they're personal, like what's your name, have you taken online courses, things like that. So they're generally, that's just a good little way to get your feet wet, see what this whole Moodle thing is about, but it also counts towards that attendance. So make sure that when you are starting an online or virtual class, you look for that enrollment verification assignment in Moodle. It might even just say EVA, but that's the first place to get started.
And that's an excellent point, because a lot of times your instructor has set up the course where you can't get any further until the EVA is completed. So that is a great point to make. Thank you. So Moodle is where we house our learning management system. It's where your classes are housed. It's where you will go to gain the knowledge you need for the classes that you're taking this semester. WebAdvisor is another feature we have on campus. It's also found in the student portal, and it provides a lot of useful information that a lot of students don't take advantage of. Again, the great thing is you get to use your same username and password. And then there is a instructional PDF. If you just want to click on that so they can see it. And it talks about registration and registering for classes through WebAdvisor, as well as financial aid and different things like that. So it's a great resource to use, and it's on our website, correct? Yeah. Okay, so it's on our website. So all you have to do is in the search box, click a WebAdvisor tutorial, and it'll bring it up if you need more information than what I'm providing today.
And I'll also link it there in the chat. So if you want, you can click that link and then bookmark it in your browser as well.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Next slide. So when you log into WebAdvisor, this is a screen that you will see. Over here, you will see student forms, and we'll take a closer look at that in a minute. If you are receiving financial aid, or if you are looking to set up a payment plan or any of that kind of great stuff, you will find out underneath financial information. You can also make electronic payments here. So if you need to pay for your classes, this will be a great part for me to say that in blue on the screen, the last day to pay for your spring 2021 semester is tomorrow. If you are receiving financial aid, you don't need to worry. You can always check and make sure your financial aid is set, but we automatically deduct your tuition from your financial aid award package. So you don't really have to do anything if you receive financial aid. But if you are self-pay or you have to pay for part of your classes because financial aid didn't cover it all, then you can click here to make payments. If you do receive financial aid, then your award letter will be here. So you can click there. And then when it comes time for you to register for your fall and summer classes, you can go into this block right here and search for sections, register for classes, and all of that good stuff if you've taken ACA 122 and passed it. ACA 122 is a required course at National Community College for all programs of study. It is our college success course. And once you have successfully completed that, you will be able to register yourselves for classes through WebAdvisor. The academic profile provides you some great information. So at the end of the semester, you can click on the grades and it'll show you what grades you made for the spring semester. It will also give you, if you click on grade point average by term, it will give you your current grade point average. And you can also look at an unofficial transcript. If you are applying for a job or applying to a university, they may require you to submit an official transcript, which you would need to do through the registrar's office. But if you just want to kind of see where you are, how your classes are going, then you can click on there. You can also click on program evaluation. This will allow you to see how many classes you have left in your plan of study. So you can kind of map out and plan your goals and how many classes you need to take and things of that nature. My class schedule will provide you with your current semester schedule, and we're going to look at an example of that in a moment. And then my profile is really important. And what I would encourage all of you to do is at some point between now and the first day of class is to log into WebAdvisor and click on my profile. My profile gives you your name, your address, and your phone number. Make sure that information is current and up to date so that if we need to get in contact with you, we're contacting the right person. So that's really important. All right, next screen. So if you click on student forms, this is what you're going to see. And I just want to highlight a couple of things that students often ask us about. Again, if you click on my profile and your information is not correct or it changes, let's say you move halfway through the semester, click on change of contact information and you can go through and complete a form to make sure that we have the most current up-to-date information for you. Another one that students often ask us about is our change of programs. So let's say that you start out in, hospitality management, and you realize that that's really not the career for you. You wanted to do something else. Maybe you want to focus more on culinary. They're very relatable to each other. So you can go here to this change of program of study form and click on that and fill it out. Before you change your program of study, I would recommend you talk to your advisor to make sure that you are choosing the correct new program of study so that you don't lose any unnecessary credits. The other one that we often have questions about from students is FERPA. As a college student, you are protected by federal regulations where we are not allowed to give your educational information to anyone other than yourself. That's why it's very important for you to use your National Community College student email account. However, you can give us consent to talk to your parents, guardians, spouses, whoever you deem you want us to talk to. But to do that, you have to fill out a FERPA consent form, and you would tell us the person who has consent for us to discuss your educational records with, as well as you have to give a password for the person so that they know, it's just another checks and balances to make sure that we're giving out the information to who you deem us to give it out to. And then it takes about 24 to 48 hours. If you are a high school student, I would recommend that FERPA is a great way to keep your parents involved, but it's completely up to you to choose whether or not to sign that consent form. But all of the student forms are very great, and they're helpful, and they help you through your educational process, but those are the three that we tend to get the most questions about.
And I just wanted to throw in on FERPA too. So if you anticipate, like if you're a working adult, if you anticipate that you would need like a spouse to bring in documentation to financial aid to finish that process or anything like that, we have to have a FERPA on file. Otherwise, even if they're coming to help you, or like if you want a parent to pick up a transcript or a spouse to pick up a transcript so that you can take it to an employer, but you can't come to the campus during your work day, we'd have to have that FERPA form on file before anybody else could have an access to your record. It's all about protecting you. But if you do anticipate that you, because that's been the biggest inconvenience I've seen that students might have, is they are working and their schedule doesn't align with the college's schedule. So they need somebody to help them, a family member, or somebody to help them, but then they can't get what they need because we're not allowed to release it. So just if you are a working person and you're leaning into your support system, just complete this form as soon as you can, and then that way those folks can continue to help you. Words are hard, guys.
Yes, it's all about a support system. So when you can find one and it works, stick with it. So this is an example schedule. So this person is only taking 2 classes in the spring. But what I wanted to draw your attention to is the start date. If for some reason their classes were late start classes, then these, it would say 01/25/21. So again, if you go into WebAdvisor, into Moodle, and you don't see your classes listed, go into that schedule on WebAdvisor and click on it to see when the start date is. Also, this student's classes are both online, but if it was a virtual class, then virtual would be written here. Or if they were in a class that actually met on campus this semester, it would give the room number here. So this is the section, class and section number, and then this is information. If it was a virtual class, it would list the hours and days. If it was an on-campus class, it would also list the room number. For you to get your books, you will need to make sure you have a copy of your schedule. And so if this student wanted to go and get their books, they would just need to print the screen and take it to our campus store, and they'll be able to get their books. So really looking at the start date is really important, especially because it can be a little bit, students feel a lot of anxiety if they know they signed up for 4 classes, but they log into Moodle and they only see 2. And we don't want you to start off the semester stressed. when all you have to do is look in WebAdvisor and say, oh, my other 2 classes don't begin until the 25th. I'm good to go. So just make sure you look at all the details. Now, if you were to go into WebAdvisor and it says that those 2 classes should have started the 11th, contact your advisor so that we can figure out what's going on. Okay, so anyway. All right, next. All right, so we did this pretty quickly so that we would leave y'all with enough time to ask us questions. What I would ask is that you don't leave until the very end so that you can get the web address to fill out a survey that will enter you into a cash prize. And so I'm going to open it up. If you have any questions, if you will type them in the chat box, and then we will be happy to answer them. Go back one screen. So while we're waiting for you to ask your questions, just to let you know, we are doing 4 virtual coaching calls this week, and we're doing 4 more next week. And tomorrow's coaching call will be, Ms. Weisenborn and I are going to be flipping roles. She will be presenting on college expectations and online etiquette, and I will be the facilitator. And we will just discuss things about, she will discuss different college expectations that we have. And so that'll be tomorrow at 1 p.m. They're all at 1 p.m. We are recording them, so if you can't attend one, you can view it later. All right, and then go to the next screen. All right, and so if you're interested in success coaching, you think you might want to have a success coach or to see if you already have one, you can email to that email address. Ms. Weisenborn did put the tiny URL link in the chat box, so if you wanted to click on that, you can get access to that survey. It's a very short survey, but it will enter you into a drawing for a cash prize, and that's always a good thing. So we're going to open it up to you now. She will leave this screen open so you can have those web addresses and the email address and the web address. But what questions do you have for us about Moodle or your Gmail account or WebAdvisor or anything related to the beginning of school? We are here to answer any questions you may have. And I'm going to stop recording for the question and answer session.